Good evening. I am going to call the Solid Waste Committee call to order. It is Monday, January 9th, 2023, 4 p.m. And I want to let the viewers know that this meeting is being recorded and it's also a hybrid meeting. The listing of matters are those responsibly anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. I'm John Lawrence. I'm the chairman. I am present.
Mike Mullins, member present. Perry, member present. Karen, member present.
Nicole Mello, member present.
Harris, member. Yeah. Todd Billing, member present. I'm Ferry, member present.
I don't think Jim was here. Right?
No.
Jim Aguirre is here, remember.
Thank you. Let's all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on our agenda tonight is review and discuss Sean Urban's presentation.
So nice to see everybody again. Happy New Year. Everybody's holiday was I'm sitting over here, and the microphones are those round discs there. So any one of these? Yes. Okay. So here we go.
You have to do this twice. No, not one of those, the round ones.
The round ones. Oh, one of these. This one?
Yep.
Oh, okay, excellent. Just got to be near it. Will it pick me up?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. If you were talking over there, but over there.
Okay. So hi, my name's Sean Urban. Most of you know me. I've been here at a lot of the meetings. I was doing my capstone project for my master's degree here at the Solid Waste Committee, and as intended, my capstone project is finished. And as I said before, I would like to still participate with the committee. So I'm going to be coming to all the meetings, but just a little recap of my presentation. I had taken a lot of the information over the last couple of months and put it all together. I do apologize. I had to miss like December meeting because I was trying to wrap up my presentation so I could present it. It was presented on December 16th. Happy to report that I did pass my master's. My capstone was accepted. It's going to be published in the university for future use for university and external people and other entities that may want to look into the research. I'd like to thank the committee for letting me participate, and Todd and the town administrator, Mike Mullen, for giving me this opportunity and really working with me and accelerating this for me. So part of my project was to go over some of the things that were discovered, which kind of led to the committee getting back together, right? Which the big thing that popped off was the cost of disposal for mattresses. And that led us to look for other things. So, over several meetings, I compiled a little bit of research, and I given you all some of that data, which you were basing some of your decisions on, which was great. I'm looking for more data now so I can continue working with you guys. But one of the biggest things that stood out to me at the end of my project was I had sent out a Google survey, and I had a hard copy for those that didn't have access to the computer. And all said and done, I got about 50 respondents back across the board. The biggest thing that stood out to me was, and I can't remember the exact percentage, I can get it, but it was like 70 to 80% of the people in town do not understand how the solid waste program across the board is funded, meaning that they don't understand what their taxes are paying for. They don't understand the fees and what is charged at the transfer station, what that is paying for, and how it's broken up between the two sides of the program. So I would say, based on just that one thing alone, since you guys have gotten together and started deciding to change the program and modernize it a little bit so it better services the town, I would say one of the big recommendations at this point is as you're rolling out the new parts of the solid waste program is to probably do a really good PR and marketing campaign to let the people know that are using these services. So basically every resident taxpayer, what their tax dollars are going for in terms of the solid waste program and what they're paying for when they go to the transfer station. So like a lot of people didn't understand that the sticker didn't cover the cost of dumping everything there. So the sticker is kind of just like paying your due at the, right? You go out to the nightclub, you got to pay the doorman to get through the door. That's kind of what the sticker is. And when I explained it like that to a lot of people, they went, oh, okay, well then that's why we're paying the fees and does it cover it all? And I went, well, it covers some of it, but maybe not all of it. So that's why they're changing things. And a lot of people were, they were open and receptive to the idea of paying enough to cover the cost of doing business. Nobody was, that I had spoken to, was opposed to that. So that's a good thing. So I think, you know, in terms of that, you guys are trending in the right direction from what I've seen on the agenda and some of the stuff you're going to go over tonight. Along with the capstone, some of the feedback I got from a lot of the professors and the people that I presented to was to maybe look over some of the policy and guidelines to make sure that they're lining up with what you guys envision as a committee, where the committee is going to take the town into the future, because you would hate to put new stuff in place and still have your old guidelines and policies. So one of the areas my master's is in, because my master's is in public administration with a focus in government. So one of the 3 areas that my program really focused on was policy and guideline. So it was policy and guideline, budgeting, and then implementation. So if there's a set of guidelines and policies, I don't know if there is, I'm assuming there is somewhere maybe. And if I could have at it, I could look them over for you if you would like. And then get back to you with maybe what I've discovered. And then you guys can digest that as a committee and then try to think about if you want to change stuff, make stuff a little bit newer. And then outside of that, it was a good capstone project for me. I finished off with traveling to Nebraska. I happened to be going out there to walk across the stage to collect my master's degree. And in doing so, I was out there early enough where they changed my presentation from being online to in person. I presented my capstone to about 35 people. And at the end of the capstone, I just so happened they do it in alphabetical order. And with Urban being your last name, you're always dead last for everything when you go alphabetical order. And at the end of it, my presentation was about 30 minutes long. And then after it was over, I was asked by about 20 people out of the 30, 35 to stay and talk about the project a little more, because all the other projects that were presented, and there were 55 public administration master candidates. So out of all those people, mine was the only project with actual hands-on implementation. Everybody else's projects were, some of those projects were phenomenal, but it was all theoretical. So a lot of people did a lot of research and then they theorized and wrote down, you know, if ABC happens, XYZ could happen. Or mine was the only one where I actually collected data and then returned something where you as a committee were actually thinking about and taking into account some of that feedback I was giving you. So the project is available. What I ended up doing with the project is I wrote it. And then through the university, I worked with a professional writer. So that's another reason why they're going to publicize it, because it was a lot of time and very well written, I guess. So, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And if you would like me to research anything for you going forward, if you can just let me know, I'd be more than happy to take some time and dig into it. So, and that's about it. That's all I have on my project. So no further questions. I will just go and sit down and listen to everybody talk. Thank you. Thank you. The long road. It was a long 7.5 years, but I got through it all.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Are you good?
Mr. Lyons, I do have a question. you know, possible.
Yeah.
You know, as I speak with passion project, I began to wonder if to deal with the issue of educating the public about this, could we create a PSA? Public service announcement, which is willing to sell to other people.
We could, and as a matter of fact,
Facebook.
You could take it to social media. There are plenty of outlets outside of Facebook. You could go to YouTube, Instagram. And to be honest with you, if you went to a radio stations have to do PSAs and they have to do so many per month for free. So based on that, that is something that you could probably look into. And just kind of getting the word out, maybe to some of the local radio stations, say, hey, we have a PSA we need to put out, you know, what your PSA schedule will look like. I can look into double checking. So long ago when I was a much younger man, which I know it's hard to believe how old I am, given these dashingly handsome good looks, please. But long ago, the FCC requirement was PSAs had to be put out at regular intervals on radio stations. So like when I was college age and hosting the radio show, they made us do it, ended up being like 6 for every 4 hours we did on the radio. We had like 6 PSAs. So like you had basically 1 an hour and you bookend the show with one. So you got them all in there. And we could look into that again. If that is something that you'd like me to do, that would be an easy target for me to kill off for you.
Something you just said in regards to the bookends of the show, like sometimes when we're waiting for the Board of Selectmen meeting to start, they put up, we're waiting, but we put up like different things that we maybe want folks to be aware of instead of that.
Mr. Bible, help us put together a video slot. And as far as the radio station, I do have contacts with 2 different radio stations, both local, that one in the Fall River area, one in the Twant.
And maybe a one sheet quick, almost like a quick snapshot of how the programs are funded and they work, and you slide them in with like the town warrant at the special and annual town meeting. Because, you know, that's something, you know, what's the average attendance? Say the average attendance is 200 people, right? So you could in theory use just a Word document and run off 100 copies of it, and you package it together. So as people are coming through the door and getting their warrants, they have that one sheet that just really quickly, in a very broad stroke, explained, hey, out of your, you know, I don't know, 10% of taxes that you're paying, this percentage or this many is equal to this many dollars goes towards the program, and here's what it pays for. You know, curbside, the $1 per bag pays for this in the program. You know, you could do a really quick write-up. I have found that people like pictures and graphics. So, you know, maybe if you big bright colors and maybe some graphs or some pie wheels or something that would kind of catch their attention would probably be a really good way to go. People, everybody, no matter what you're capable of learning or not learning, everybody understands a picture that has really basic information with some really eye-catching colors.
But I think add on to that point, with your one also talking about, I think presentation is important, and I think it almost should be in a couple of phases in the sense of introduce it. Let's say from the solid waste transfer station side, and what are those costs? And I'm just going to be very generic to say, you got the stickers, okay? This is what your sticker is, and then the cost of doing business with you, depositing something at the transfer station, and really emphasizing pay as you throw. And the background being that Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who never show up at the transfer station, aren't paying for me to show up with a truckload. I'm paying for that truckload. I think the other piece is explaining again the graphics, et cetera, simple graphics like a pie chart, mentioned. This is what your appropriated funds buy you. And I think as part of that explanation, what does curbside really mean? Well, it means they can buy a truck and throw it away. And maybe, depending upon how you all feel about it, maybe put something in there about if you don't have curbside, and you have to somewhere to dispose of it on your Saturday morning or whatever. And what the transportation piece costs in terms of we're paying somebody to transport. We don't have to have the equipment. We don't have to take the liability. And then there's the piece of wherever it ends up going. But so that's pretty much a fixed cost in terms of however it gets there. That's just my view of it. But I think we'll combine all those things with basically two streams: the appropriated funds stream, and then the pay-as-you-go transfer station stream. It's my view.
See a lot of potential.
I think it'd probably be, it may be a good step to take to go hand in hand with the work you guys are working on right now. I think it's almost necessary at this point, because if you're making changes to any part of the program, the shock value, so to speak, that may come along with this. This will help explain a lot of it and probably help mitigate a lot of that. Like, whoa, what's going on?
Basically, we had to increase the cost. Back to your point, had to increase the cost because the cost that us in the store. This was mandated by the state. Therefore, we must do this, and to do that, there's an additional cost. And I think reasonable people will understand that, as opposed to the shock value. Wait a minute, I came in a month ago and it was $20, now it's $50. So
and in terms of the town of Dayton, I mean, we are still, even with a small increase to kind of bring the town more in line, you are still really under a lot of averages, so to speak. So, and that's a good thing. And I think that's something people also need to understand is like, there's been a committee for almost 20 years at this point, and up until this started recently, several months ago. When was the last time the committee had met? It was 2014 or 2012. But it had been a long time, right? If I'm not mistaken, quite some time. So
Mr. Perry, that would have been you, right? Last one.
yeah, probably.
and what? How?
I remember you.
Yeah, and that was several.
I don't even remember.
We'll say it was several years ago, right? So, and I think that's a big part of what people have to understand too, is that, we in the town of Dayton have kind of just, kind of gone with the flow, but now we realize that there is a need fiscally to help the town, to help the taxpayers out so that we can allocate money town-wide better, to use our resources better. So, from what I have found is that most people are not opposed to that. They like that. They want the town to be fiscally responsible to them and to provide what they need in a reasonable manner. You just need to explain that as you're going about this process.
Sean, this was you, animation, passion. That's what people would want to see when we do a public service and explain it as a benefit. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. You said a point beautifully about compared to other communities, we're a lot cheaper. Being frugal, but doing things in a way that we're long past the days of the dough.
Yep.
And people understand, because a lot of these times, why are we not doing it? The old days, what was wrong with that? Did you take it and dump it all there and those who bury it all with dirt and people wants? Yeah.
The 80s called me like a decade back.
It's a lot cheaper too.
Yeah, I'll be glad to help with that. Sure. That would not be a problem. We can come up with some ideas, and like I said, this, social media is good, and there's some other avenues that we can take. There's Instagram, YouTube's a really good one for that. I know the town does have a YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken, right? So it may be something to get, you know, either some sort of edited commercial, or you could put somebody on there, like to record something, you know, with like an actual face, because that may be a little bit more receptive. So those are just some of the probably avenues that you want to look at.
Mr. Lawrence, through you, I was wondering if there are people on this committee who could get you some radio time, if you'd be willing to go on the radio, do a presentation. 15 minutes, half hour.
That's fine.
I don't mind looking into that for you guys if you would.
Well, I agree, and I think
When you make
the other thing is
Can we adjust the camera, please, a little bit?
when I think really needs to look at the presentation, because if you want it to be beautiful and say what we want it to say.
And I bet you, if you approached like the, you know, the cable access people that help record the meetings and stuff, I'm sure there's plenty of talent amongst them to help you edit something out to get what you need up on the screen. So. Questions or no? Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Unless you have some other questions you'd like to ask.
No, I'm all set. Thank you very much, Sean.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate everybody's time and help with this project. So look forward to continuing the work here.
Now, before we move on, Barbara Catavia has stepped down from the Solid Waste Committee. I would like to thank her for her time and her contributes for what she brought. And I would like to welcome Nicole Mello to the Solid Waste Committee. So Nicole, welcome.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, Barbara. Next, review, discuss, act, clarification on scrap metal. So I'm not charging residents to drop off scrap metal at the transfer station. I just want some clarification that is correct.
Oh, I didn't. Let me go get it. Oh, okay.
But I think that's a question for Tom, Fort Todd.
You didn't bring that. So what John's referring to is that yes, this meeting recommendations to Board of Health, Board of Selectmen, new price list and items, and in a rush to get things out and public notified, that list was offered as a new list, as a handout at the transfer station. And so we dropped things that should have been on here. So we didn't identify banned waste, didn't identify the better loads clearly. What we did is to redo the list that's handed out. Prices doesn't change, you guys act on voted on. We need clarification on that. So for this is the new handout that's going out. It still reflects what was voted on. Just need to add back on what we already had, banned items, and like if someone comes in with miscellaneous metal, particular. The banned item is very important that we're required to show that. But as far as the agenda referring to scrap metal, so the new handout shows the scrap metal. Let's see, where is it? It's under the miscellaneous. So it couldn't contain it be the same price as the miscellaneous loads, but it would require both a different price. But that was the old price, and we need to clarify this thing. We need to get this out last week. You know, it's still open.
So that nothing is actually changing in terms of the price, we're just reflecting the price in the updated 2023 rate list that includes the other prices that haven't, correct?
Correct. So in the agenda, it's asked for clarification. I think the team knows that. This wants to happen. I see it possible. Very last.
It's stations to and it's free. We dispose of that.
So, yeah, I think you saw the waste recommended anything. Something.
Right, I was here for that.
Could say the disposal. Yeah, I see how.
So I can see.
Right. What was voted was.
So for the exceptions. So there's no. There's a fee for everything except for the textiles and the books. That's what was voted.
We didn't vote for a piece of grass. Right. No, that wasn't right. Net. It wasn't. Right. But you need a transfer station.
Yes. So I think Mr. Pius's point. Like I do agree on what you mentioned. Like if we reword that. Free with required transfer station sticker, something like that.
What about disposal is free? Transfer station required?
Yeah, waste and recyclable are free with transfer stations. Yeah. Books and textile, no transfer station sticker required.
Mr. Lemire?
We have to add that.
Yeah, I have a question. Seems we have two board of selectmen here. I understand completely why you would not require a sticker certain items, but I think in here there's a little bit of confusion that's created by doing that. Right. My opinion has always been that using the transfer station is not something that you get as a taxpayer. It is something that we offer so long as it can be paid for with taxpayer. So I don't see why a transfer station sticker should not be required to get on the property. Because there are other ways that you can dispose of the things that the selectmen have said you don't need a sticker for, such as the textiles and books. There are other outlets to get rid of them. Right. So the convenience of having it in the town of inside, I think is worth the $15.
Sure. I think first of all, listening to what tonight, and we can justify what the $15 covers. Looking at it that way, yes, I agree with you. I think the selectmen, we were thinking that we didn't want to charge people to drop off textile in books. Not that they didn't need a sticker. It wasn't our intent to do that.
It just, to me, from a management perspective, it really simplifies the process by saying you need a sticker to get on the property. Right. Regardless of what you're using it for, you need a sticker to get on.
One of the other things that was mentioned here on the group was, could we make a profit off of textiles from other communities, which in that case you wouldn't need a sticker.
But I think we agreed in that same discussion that we keep it residents. Okay. We don't want to be. We don't want to try to make this. We want to make it cost positive, but we don't want to make it a something to balance the budget. Right. Okay. I'm just speaking for myself. I just think from a management perspective, if we educate the public properly, which was discussed tonight, if we let the people know that there's a reason why we're doing this, we're trying to make it so it doesn't burden you on the tax side of things, then I think we're justified in making that requirement. Although I understand where the BOS is coming from, I also can see from a perspective of operating something at a revenue plus or a revenue even, it makes it real difficult. Plus, from a management perspective, the tenant now has to sort of juggle between why are you here, what are you bringing in, and then watch them to make sure they don't go from the bin to a trash bin. So I just think having them on the property with a sticker requirement just makes it a lot cleaner. You can still, like you discussed tonight, say, okay, textile and books are free, dry clippings are free, all that, we can discuss that further, but I think just getting on the property with a sticker is still in order.
Right, there's an expense that we have to cover. Right. That the fees for dropping off bulky items does not cover.
Right.
in having a sticker to require you to be on the property.
And I think in a previous
usually that part.
it's something like 40 cents a week or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But you know, we're trying to professionalize it. We're trying to make it more organized, and to do that, that's just my humble opinion.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yes, Tom.
So a couple of things. First, can you hear everyone, all the discussions?
Yeah, it's kind of in and out, but I'm getting the most of it.
Second, just a point of order on your agenda, you needed clarification on scrap metal. I believe we hit that. We just got to clean up this handout a little bit better. We found some errors, but I think we hit the clarification. I believe we can move on.
Thank you, Jim. So are we, what's the clarification? Are we charging residents moving forward, or are we educating the public until for?
It's on the handout at the transfer station, the price list. It's on there. It was dropped in the process of making the new price list, and the banned items are all on there together. So the clarification's there.
Well, the way it's worded, free transfer station sticker required, you're almost implying that there's a free transfer station sticker that is available.
Yeah, that stuff's going to get cleaned up.
Okay.
Yes, but he didn't have access to banned items or the scrap metal. That's what the clarification was on the agenda. But I think we hit that.
Would it be helpful to run in the hours of operation instead of saying 1 year sticker transfer station is $15, saying something like 1 year sticker is required to access the property, fee is $15. That would right up front clarify you want to come through the gate.
Except for the little dilemma that the selectmen caused.
Okay, the selectmen would have to revote that or revisit that.
Okay, no, but it's just as
in the future, yeah, we can clean that up, yes. But we're not there yet. I think part of the rationale, I'm assuming, was until the curbside that picked up the textiles, until that was available, we wanted people to get rid of the stuff. Until that's operating, then we can explore that.
okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to thread a ton of needles at the same time as well, because one of the incentives is if people do come to the transfer station at any point and they throw their books in the bins, or they throw their old clothes in the bins, we're diverting that from what we're paying. Like in really the tonnage cost as well. So like there is an offset there that we don't want to disincentivize, but yeah, there's 20 ways to skin a cat as well. So we're just trying to thread that. That was probably a bad expression, but
Lawrence, the only thing as I look at this form, I don't see anything in regards to textiles and books, and you already have the bins on site, is that correct?
Yes.
So are you waiting for us to revisit this issue? When I say us, the Board of Selectmen, or is it just an oversight? Because you must get questions about that, don't you?
About what, the book bins?
Yes.
No, not really. Residents come in, they say, "Oh, I didn't know you guys have a book bin," and I, say, "Yes, we do," and this is what you can and can't bring, and they sometimes return with stuff that they want to donate.
Well, it was an oversight that the books and textiles didn't make it onto this.
Right. But it hasn't been a big problem, so.
Just one other thing, and I'm not trying to nitpick or play on words, but is there a reason we don't use prohibited instead of banned? All hazardous materials are banned. All hazardous materials are prohibited. I'm just throwing it out there. Prohibited. It seems a little more appropriate to me. I don't know.
On your third-party inspections, they're looking for the word banned, but you're right, prohibited could be used, but
I don't know
the word banned.
If I'm missing something, then maybe it stays banned. I don't know.
The English major, they're looking for the word banned and what is banned.
Okay. I don't have to be right.
This is a very philosophical conversation.
That's why Nicole loves this stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we don't need to act on this because we don't need to vote on this, correct? On the clarification?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Are we all set?
Who's gonna do the final proofread on this after these changes are made?
Karen's not here, we can volunteer her. I would have said to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can do that. Me and Mike go.
Who has the Word document on this, Todd?
It's an Excel document.
Okay.
I have another question, if you don't mind. Regarding trailer fees. And then construction debris trailer. Has there been any controversy or problems up there when you look at the price of double axle trailer? It's $100. Full trailer, 8-foot max, $100. Is one only construction debris, and the other is like household bulky items, maybe. I mean, I know it's been that way for a while, and I don't believe there's been any problems.
But we've only been getting like 2 construction debris trailers a year, so it hasn't been a big deal. But
It's in West Debate then.
but yes, you're right. Somebody doesn't know this is just a trailer, but they're both the same feet, kind of, except for the 16 foot. No, that was over here. No, that's for the pickup truck. Right. So you're coming in with anything bigger than an 8-foot pickup or construction debris, then you're commercial.
And there could be a trailer. Figure $100 double axle with all bulky items and household waste. You got a strictly construction debris. We look at it that way. I just want to, before it becomes a problem, it is a problem.
I'm not
Okay.
I haven't encountered any problems yet. All set?
Yes.
Okay. On to the next one. Review and discuss ACT's chairman's report. Now, these are just kind of little bullet points. If we want to discuss about it, we can. Just some things that we can think about. So Mr. Perry and Mr. Filling went over some audits of slips from, I think, was it 2019, Mr. Perry?
2020 through 2022.
2020. Do you, is there anything you want to add to that, or we can discuss about it?
You didn't have to be crazy to do it, but it helped. There were a lot of slips. And I gave the information to Mr. Cohen too, and I'm sure you reduced all the data down, but some interesting finds.
Yeah, I have put it all in a spreadsheet, but it wasn't on the agenda, so I'm still kind of putting some stuff together, so I don't have it all. But yes, I've broken it down to by month and by bulky item pickup week. So we know about what the average is per year for each individual item. So we know how many mattresses and TVs and stuff that we're gonna get. What I found weird was that the bulky item week is about 20% of our volume of trash was picked up in 1 week. Not trash, of the bulky items. It's getting picked up in 1 week, which was very surprising to me.
We broke it down in terms of each month, and we can slide back and forth between calendar year and fiscal year. But back to his point, we have a lot of data and it can be manipulated in many ways, but we have the good solid data that we said we were going to have to start to make decisions based upon that solid data. It all came off 3 years worth of slips.
That's awesome.
So let me get this straight. You were tired of waiting for the POS, so you became the POS
Right.
after the fact?
Yeah.
That's admirable, I'll tell you. That's what I have to look forward to in retirement?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for that. Seriously.
Was interesting. If I may, TVs,
mattresses, tires, kind of interesting. So see 1 or 2 tires a month, and suddenly 20 tires would show up. But there was consistency with the mattresses, sofa couches, and we needed to add chairs in there too. That was something that came through. And there were, in a future discussion, there were any number of miscellaneous items, the 5s, even 6s that would come in during the year that need to be addressed in terms of they need to be categorized and perhaps cost put on them. But other than that, we now have the data.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So will you be sharing that spreadsheet with us, Todd, before the next meeting, or?
That'll be done with it, yeah. And say, as part of it, we got in and started getting into the expenses of the soft costs. I think, but not just soft costs, I guess, but we started putting some of those together. And worked with Tom to put some of that together. And so it wasn't quite done with it, but hopefully that's the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is something that we want to present next month, or like a presentation, or?
I guess it could be a presentation, because where I'm going with this, they took the averages for the last 3 years to project what we're going to make for income. Our income and our disposal costs to know where we're at. And so it's a lot of data to put together to look forward, and that's what we needed to do, is to look forward. So it's getting there. So yeah, it should be able to be.
Another PowerPoint?
Yeah, well, that's what suckered you into this committee, right?
Why you're here.
It'll be some form of presentation.
All right, thank you, Todd. Thank you, Mr. Perry. I know I brought this up before, but I'm not sure how the committee thinks about security cameras at the transfer station.
Let's wait till Mr. Perry gets back on.
Yes.
Well, we're waiting. The refrigerator is built well.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Karen already picked up on that, and it's been corrected on the ones that are at the transfer station, but we have the office. Thank you.
We're still vetting contractors.
So
yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for Tom, I'm sorry. Would anybody be interested in doing a Town of Berkeley transfer station tour?
They're open Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And then Saturdays 8 to 3:30.
This is just my thought. I mean, I would like to, I like tours, but I would prefer to at least kickstart tours off with review tours with a town that's really like us. If that makes sense, a town, that has a transfer station recycling center, but actually has a curbside pickup, so we can see where so like in the short term, the type of things we might be able to build and improve on. So rather than a whole recreation immediately, but that's just my thought.
The other thing is I have a concern with visiting a facility while it's operating from a safety perspective. I would much prefer reaching out to the community and asking if we can go on the off time so that we can freely walk around the property and not worry about vehicles and trucks and et cetera.
And part of the Capstone project, and amongst the spreadsheets is one spreadsheet I had peer communities, and the second one I had what I would call near peer, which is communities that are really almost identical to Dayton in terms of scale, scope, how they operate. So there's really two, maybe you can probably throw a third in there that you might want to look at. They're a little bit of a ride from here, but they're, to your point, they're probably closer in terms of demographics. If you want to go look at them. So I can get to the decision.
Okay. Thank you. So now that Tom is here, Tom, we were going to talk about bringing up security cameras again at the transfer station. I'm not sure how the committee feels as that as a whole.
I think it's a good idea.
But I thought there was some rationale reason why we were gonna have cameras that there was.
They already came in today, I'm supposed to pick them up from Depot tomorrow.
Yes, Mr. Hull?
Mr. Lawrence had mentioned that this was going to be on the agenda. In this day and age of security, issues of vandalism, or even aggression, cameras act as a deterrent as well as an informational gathering source. When I take a look at the transfer station, after hour dumping, dropping off trash outside the gate is something of a concern. We talk about mattresses that are $125 that are rejected at the transfer station. I'd like to see the vehicle comes into the transfer station, has its mattress rejected, having some video evidence of that. Should that same vehicle be seen either on a resident's camera or just seen by a resident dumping a mattress off on, so we'll say Cedar Street or Brook Street, as happened a couple of weeks ago. It's also been brought to my attention that gate isn't always the most secure of keeping people out after hours. It would make people aware of after-hour dumping. Also, we give a heads up if we were having youth go there or people go there in the evening to party or just to hang out. It also protects the staff that are working at the transfer station from confrontations. We received 22 pages of mandates, a whole lot of rules and do's and don'ts. And those people who are working the transfer station have to be the arbitrators of what goes into the transfer station, what doesn't. And I'm sure if it hasn't already happened, there'll be times where people will get a little heated when they're told that their textiles have to go over in this bin or their leaves go in that bin. The metal goes in another bin. When they're used to coming in the transfer station with a load and just dumping it in one spot. I feel for those reasons that security cameras would be a big plus. However, I am well aware of the costs. And I have a question for Mr. Aguirre based on, so I get a ballpark figure of how much cameras cost, because you do have some place in other locations in the town.
So that question can only be answered when you tell me what type of system you want. There are two very different type systems. There's a static system, which just records, and then someone has to actually extract the information off of it after an incident occurs. Or you can have a system that's active, which is viewable through an electronic device, queryable, meaning you can go back, you can just put a time in, it'll bring you back to that time on the video, whereas the static system is not. You have to actually go back and look. So those are two totally different systems. I'm guessing the system you're referring to is system A, which is very inexpensive. System B, which we vetted for this property in the past, can cost thousands of dollars. The last quote that we had, which was around the pandemic, for these two buildings alone was $17,000. So we're not talking about a small amount of money. The other thing is you need internet service in order for that to work. We don't have internet service there right now. There are other options. You can do satellite or cell connectivities, but those have monthly subscription fees. So it can get very costly for this. So I don't know what is needed. I don't know what we want, but I think we have to determine that, figure this out.
How many years has the transfer station been open? Forever. And we haven't had an issue. Small stuff, but never an issue that needs to be backed up by cameras. And I just wonder if the expense is going to be justified cameras now at this stage, just because we're charging more for and I know you're talking about come here to drop this, come there to drop that. It's what we've always done. There's nothing new about saying you have to drop your burn in one pile and your recycles in another. And I'm hard pressed to spend $17,000 per camera system.
So we're back to the point. What's the frequency of all these accusations and all these?
Right.
I heard, how many times has the gate been left open? Over what period of time? How many people have dropped off items? What have we found? What is the frequency? How long is the period of time? 6 months, 9 months? Is it all worth it? You said a lot here, Lenny, but you know, these are things I just found out. Well, who'd you find out from? Can we get more information?
And who's going to review these
from these people?
If I may, I can see the concern about the gate situation because I've been up there where the gate's been open. People come in because they think the transfer station's open. That's because it's a multi-use property. Like anything else in town, we do a lot with very little. I think money would better spent if we had some type of a gate system that would be either automated or code oriented so that the highway department personnel can come in and out freely and close the gate behind them without getting out of the truck, going back there, you know, dummy locking the chain, et cetera, et cetera. That's all about professionalizing the transfer station. So if maybe we could put our money there and maybe some cameras as a deterrent, but the lower grade cameras, you know, it might be sort of be like a hybrid solution to the problem. I do agree with you. I go there myself and unlock it when I have auction surplus items there. And I have to remember to try to close it behind me or park near the gate so I can get my
job. Remembering to lock.
No, I get it.
The issue becomes with the quality of help. And that's if it's a constant, somebody's always leaving it unlocked. I mean, a gate is going to be, an electronic gate is going to be expensive as well. And again, how many times is this an issue?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that data. You looking for another job?
No. So several years ago, townspeople authorized me to buy a bunch of game type cameras. Some were videos, some were still shot. Right. They're a lot of work, just especially in winter time. The batteries only last like 2 weeks. It's problematic. You'll see the housing facing the gate right now where I used to have a camera. I plan on all those cameras that were bought, none of them are functioning now. They're either vandalized, stolen, or they're just not working. So out of my replacement line, my budget, I'm getting 2 new cameras, no Wi-Fi required, take video, and I'm putting one facing the gate. That doesn't resolve all the issues you're mentioning. It's not great. Both of you made some very good points. So there's the cost justify the means of buying a camera. You know, the cost of whatever is concerned. Do we need one on the attendant? The attendant's not right at the set all the time. That one's going to be a tough one. I mean, if the attendant really needs any type of recording, you may have to consider a body cam. You know, do we want to go that route? I don't think so. As far as people trespassing, the town's using that facility 7 days a week. The town is. We do have people trespassing, but trespassing is a harsh word because it's connected to a little more than 75 acres that is part of open space. People enjoy it year round. So they need to have a place to park in the property, but we don't need people rummaging through the metal pile. That's probably not a good thing, but that's something that can be curbed either with fencing or signage and or the camera, but I prefer not to put an additional camera there. I only have 2 cameras coming at this point, and Captain was leaving the transfer station that's rejected is key. So like a mattress, we just pick on mattresses, but I don't presume a large problem with it, but mattress on a specific vehicle, then we have it, because other than that, it's just hearsay, like Mr. Pius alluded to. And then what are we fighting?
Because there had been some discussion in earlier meetings about recording the license plate number of the vehicles that brought rejected mattresses. I don't know where that.
Yeah, well, the other thing we have to think about, and I'm sorry we don't have, not further along with the POS, but the POS is going to basically have a tablet set up like this, where when you pull up the POS homepage, there'll be an option for you to take a picture at the same time. So the attendant can very easily take a picture of the items being disposed of and the license plate. And it will be disclosed to anyone using the transfer station to be subject to recording or photo taking. So, you know, and we're working on that, but, you know.
So what's nice is just dumping stuff in at the gate after hours, and should be able to grab that with that camera. It might be a little far, but you won't know until it's installed. When something's rejected and they think they're just going to dispose of it somewhere else in town, you have 2 different fines that you set. Most of the places that are secluded, conservation type land or recreational type land, and that's $1,000 fine. So it's important to have someone leaving with that on their vehicle if they retire. Other than that, it's a $500 fine if it's not in one of them spots.
No, do we have an obligation to post that in various locations?
It has been posted throughout the town. You'll see, when you're driving through, you'll see signs up in various locations, $500 fine, $1,000 fine.
I think I'm required to tell people that they may or may not be recorded. I mean, calling them business to say for training where you may or may not be recorded. I think there's a mess. Oh, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, it says you have to advise people being recorded.
There's a sign there,
right,
on the surveillance.
The other point, if I may, regarding the gate, opening and closing the gate's a training issue. Okay, and it's a matter of, you know, maybe reminding those people that go in there, whoever they are, that are required to go in there, or authorized to go in, say, hey, you get away out of your vehicle, they behind it. The change the lock, and may or may not be an inconvenience, but it's part of your job. So I don't think you're spending a great deal of money to have that kind of, unless it's, but I think it's a training issue.
So I just have one thing, just I mean on on an issue like this, John, that does require you know, like really some thoughts and planning, you know, like a discussion. One of the things in terms of future agendas, if you can list something like this on an agenda, like I think would be like actually helpful. So in advance, we can all anticipate and plan for, you know, like a discussion like this actually coming up. So like we can think about those, you know, things in the mechanics of a system like this in advance.
Okay, I'll do that for next time.
Also, John, in regards to that, without it being on the agenda, they can't take a vote.
Okay, so I'll table that till the next meeting.
I'm not, just a point of order, I'm really not sure it's a solid waste committee issue, the security cameras.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we discussed there are some things in motion, John, and I would just, I mean, I'd be fine with just so like actually knowing what has been talked about tonight, knowing those things are in motion. Like I would imagine that those, so that discussion would really suffice, honestly.
I have a suggestion if it's not already happening. Does our police department go over there and check the gate during the evening instead of having somebody go there? As you suggested. I mean, they're out on the street, they can stop by.
They park here to monitor the stop sign at First Street. So I would think they notice it was open or closed.
Well, I would, you know, it may be the gates closed, but the locks are.
I can't answer that.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
So is the camera still a solid waste thing, or is that more leaning towards the DPW thing?
Yeah, I would say it's not a solid waste issue, and it sounds like Tom is already on.
A camera's already been purchased, John.
Okay. So I guess we're gonna move on. There's no need to vote or anything on that, or we can't because it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Okay. All right. Review, discuss, act, rejected mattresses at the transfer station.
Didn't we just beat that to death?
No. So just taking this discussion up, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Superintendent Ferry, Agent Killing, John and myself, I believe that was everyone there. We met with the representatives from Ace Mattress, and we discussed basically the onboarding and the ramp up and the implementation of our new contract with Ace Mattress, and really what the rules of the road would be. You know, for the collection of the mattresses, you know, and the requirements, you know, for what would be the suitable mattresses, and what like and how we would be able to plan for the event that a mattress would be rejected, based on the discussion with the folks who make mattresses that are excessively wet or frozen, mattresses that are severely twisted, punctured, or crushed, mattresses that are infested with bed bugs, or other living organisms, or mattresses that are exceptionally soiled or moldy, they would be rejected mattresses. So like the issue becomes, well, like when a rejected mattress is brought to the transfer station, you know, do we simply tell the resident, you know, that the other mattress is not going to be accepted and have them go elsewhere? So like, or do we have a fee where we can accept the rejected mattress, so settlement really their own file, but charge accordingly. You know, really to accept the rejected mattress and really control the future of that mattress. And one of the things I'm talking with the folks of this mattress, they actually said, you know, that they would, you know, that they would basically handle all the mattresses and really disassemble the mattress on site. Yeah, for like an extra, like for like a significantly extra charge than the $40 we would charge. You know, so the question I think we have is, do we implement that knowing that it is an extra charge? So, but we're really helping in a way, offering an option, you know, that allows us really to better control the future of the rejected mattress, I guess.
I like the idea of it. If you're refusing to take a mattress and somebody's going to ask you for it, well, what do I do with it? That's where the chance that it might end up on the side of the road. But at least for a substantial fee, whatever that fee might be, we have an alternative for them.
Yes. So to be transparent, so in the discussions with ACE, it charges $90 for them to disassemble a mattress on site. But one of the things we would need to store and collect the mattresses as well. So if we would need to, there were like other soft costs involved. to having like a smaller, so like an additional smaller container from which really to do that. So like one of the jumping off point would be, so actually going back to charging $125. So like for like the rejected mattress, so we like they're actually like accounting for the soft cost included. Like really like in providing that option. And yeah, and I think that's what we wanted to do is throw that out there to the committee. So, like if the committee did recommend that direction, then we could begin moving the ball forward through the Board of Health, and then to the selectmen to set that fee. So we have a plan for that going forward.
All right. Yes, he's gone. So I have a question. In order for me to answer that or give my opine, I missed that meeting, unfortunately. Can I hear a little more about the logistics? Do they wait until we accumulate a certain amount of mattresses? How long do we need to store them for? Is it the same crew that comes, picks up the other mattresses to get those, or a different crew? Do we have any of those answers?
So like in my understanding that while the crew comes to pick up the other mattresses, that they would do the same. So it's not. So I mean, it's like it's not regular. I mean, it all depends on how quickly it takes really to fill up like a regular container full of mattresses.
So I think what you didn't answer, Jim, you asked a lot.
Yeah.
So we have to call them when we're 2/3 full.
Yes. And the regular container.
We do not want the rejected mattresses in there. Right now we're putting them in the end because, especially if there's an infestation, the whole lower can be a problem. So we need a separate storage. Right. I think that's what Mr. Karen was alluding to. We want to isolate this a little bit stronger. And what else were you asking?
So, let's take.
So when they pick up, I don't think they're going to pick them both up at the same time because they could contaminate.
Right.
And they didn't like the way we were stacking. That's the issue.
I have other questions, so let's do one at a time. How many rejected mattresses do we have in respect to the full container, the good mattresses?
So right now, unless John corrects me, I believe only 2 because now that they're drier, they're passing. They can go in. They were isolated. They just were wet.
And once they dry, they're okay.
Correct.
Okay.
They stained once they dry.
So we're looking at a small area that we need to.
I'm thinking behind the clothesbins in that lean-to at this time, and then we can take a better look at what we actually have or another small container. But we don't know what we're going to have because we're still new at this.
So, okay.
20-quarter shipping container might work, or a truck body like that might work.
So when we let them know that we're almost ready for a pickup, I'm guessing we'll also let them know that we have a few rejected mattresses that need to be dealt with so that they can send the appropriate peoples. Okay. Does the refuse stay?
What is that? Because it's probably going to be just possible infested one.
Okay. So if I'm Ace Mattress, I don't know their operations. I'm sending a truck down to pick up good mattresses. I'm not taking that stuff back with me. So that goes in our refuse bins. Where does it go?
They take everything.
They take it in some truck.
So they send 2 trucks.
Possible.
Yeah, because they won't put them all in the same truck because they'll
well, they put everything. I mean, so yeah, they break down the existing mattress on a site though. So they take all the recyclable parts out of it. So like all the springs, everything else.
So I didn't think that happened.
And what do they do?
Yeah, they do. They smash them all down.
The only way that I'm doing that, I'm sorry, but this is important. The only way that I'm doing that as a company is if I have a place to discard the crap. Why am I going to do it on site to take it with me?
Yeah, they told me they take all of it. That's part of the
fee. On the wood, and it's the textile that they'll throw in the bin.
Our bin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't think you were breaking it down on site.
That makes sense. That's the only way I'm going to pay my workforce to break the mattress down off-site on someone else's properties to throw the crap in their container. Otherwise, I'll just take it back to my yard in a secure truck and do it myself.
And how many? 2 is all we have right now. 2 possibly.
Well, it's how they show up. They may reject more.
Okay.
But that's how many.
How many reject?
$50.
That's not bad.
Good idea. Reading here in the minutes, there were 6 to 7 rejected mattresses
At that time, yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't that become a textile issue?
Then that's another company.
So we got a higher expense, whether they take it or it goes before just throw up. Either way, we get an expense to consider.
Yes.
But I think that's an unknown number still. Taxpayers should be ready. I mean, this price sheet that we're handing out, they should be ready. I know it's at the attendant's discretion at this point, but we need to move 2 and 2. What is that number for rejected mattress?
Yeah, well, that's why I think maybe we should actually set that and make a recommendation on setting that number.
I think that might, if we can consider that tonight, that would be helpful, or put that in the next agenda if we can't vote on that tonight.
It's on the agenda tonight. We have
Hold on 1 second, I'll try to make a phone call.
Was $90 the definite cost?
Well, that's, I missed that meeting, yes, but Mike's gonna try to find out more information. So as far as where,
$100 for the bid cost. It was 125 before just took it down to the bid.
If we could vote on the price tonight, that'd be pretty good.
Administrator Mullins trying to make a phone call. I don't think he's successful though.
No, I just actually sent her a text.
There's a reason I'm asking what I'm asking, because if I'm correct, in addition to the $90 fee, we're also throwing items in the container, which we now have to pay to get rid of. Right. So I don't think $90, I don't know if 125 will do it. I don't know, but that's what we have to keep in mind.
Well, $90 is the cost.
Right.
To us.
Right.
Yeah. If we go 150.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's plus the you're talking the resident at least having a alternative.
Well, for me, to your point, if it costs $90 to get apart, take the salvageables, and something goes into our container, I think we also have to consider cost avoidance in terms of we charge $90 for this rejected mattress, charge the person who brings it in, and we have to pay $125. The delta there is $35. Whereas if it's broken down for us and we throw, I'm going to make up a number, 10 pounds worth of something into our dumpster, we've avoided a cost. The cost of the weight, throwing that whole mattress, or the $125. So I think it can be broken down on site, as much salvage as possible, and a few pounds into our dumpster. I think it's almost in terms of cost of weights.
And at that point, it's not a mattress, I believe. I think that's part of
right. Right. Yeah. Well, I understand the textile piece of this, but if it's contaminated with something, whether it be chemical, whether it be some sort of life form, we're still looking at cost avoidance. And if it's a good textile, we've totally avoided the cost of us disposing of it. Good point. Taking that $35 delta that you referred to, we still have to store a mattress that can't be put with the other mattresses. We don't know what state they're going to leave the destruction area left when they're gone. We would hope that they would clean it up. There might be some little cleanup that we need to do after they've done what they've done. So I just want to be mindful that if we're doing this, we have all the costs. So we come up with a number that keeps us either even or just slightly positive, so that we have everything going forward. I think we need to have that mindset. Yeah, and I totally agree with you, but I think we're not going to look at not going to be able to guess at this point every little nuance. I think if we discuss and look at the bits and pieces of this from perhaps a process perspective, we can say this is what we think we need to do. And then 6 months down the road, we say, gee, we've also discovered this piece that we missed. We tweak it a little bit and then make it better. Right? Which I think was the philosophy we went into and started changing the prices. So I just don't think we're going to hit every nuance, as I said, but certainly this is a worthy discussion. And I think we move forward for sure. So the only other point I'll make is that to Selectman Hull's point, you had 6 or 7 mattresses at the last meeting. We're down to 2 now because they dried out. Yeah.
Sometimes they would not identify as mattresses.
Okay. I would like a more secure space to put these mattresses because although it would be cheap and easy because we have it, the lean-to is not weather tight. They're still going to be subject to weather. There's no floor in that space. So I was
referring to with the books and textile bins.
No, we can't do that. No, then you could have bed bug infestations in the textiles in the bins. No, we can't do that. No.
Somebody convinced me that this is not a textile issue. Once it's broken down there and we get the covers, the cloth.
But the cloth and the covers are gonna be the things that are bed bug infested, sorry.
It becomes trash.
So that, yeah.
So if you have a rag, it's got oil on it, that's regular trash.
Yeah.
What about the dirty things? So anything rejected, we're taking a position that's all contaminated.
Yes.
Or we could, whatever dirty mattresses, like out of this probably would not do good, but put it in the bulky bin at that point and just whatever Mr. Borges's charges.
Yeah, we're not allowed to accept mattresses in the first place.
At this point, the way our vendor is set up, they have an end use at place where he brings the roll off. It gets separated, it does not go into a landfill. That's why there's an additional charge.
Oh, we're charged per unit.
Yes.
Which might go away.
Correct.
I would rather get with someone, we have a contract with a vendor, mattresses, they have a place that they can do with them. I say roll with that. Not that I'm discounting the relationship with Borges, but I would rather have, that is a company that specializes in mattress disposal. I would rather we have an out through them and it's cost effective. Let's go that route.
Why? Just because we have ACE and not let one just take it and we're done with it. Doesn't matter where we store it.
First of all, it takes up volume in the container for one thing. So there's other trash you can't put in there. We don't know where they're going. Where's the bill of lading? Where are they going? We don't know.
But like Tom was just saying, what this is going to take care of it on their end. So why create an extra step for us of having to store these when one just already has an outlet for them, and they're going to charge us, which we go back to, we're going to be charged the consumer anyway.
What do they?
It seems to me it'd be easier to let one just take it on his end.
It's a point well taken. I agree with you. What are they doing with them?
They go to the Bedford facility.
And what are they doing with them?
It gets separated, they break them down, their process.
How much does it cost?
$125.
So we're already at 125.
As opposed to
90. Without to your point, without the storage.
Overhead, anything else.
Right.
And in the future, because the market, as we know, is rapidly evolving. So like if the market continues to evolve and Borges his outlet, if you will, shuts off, then we know we have ACE.
Right.
And ACE in the hole.
Oh, that was bad.
That was kind of good. I like that.
So yeah, we know we have an option at that point, and at that point too, we're gonna have way more information about exactly what the volume is and how we've actually been able to manage this whole thing.
It seems like we're doing a lot of, not that it's not work that has to be done. A lot for just 2 or 3 mattresses.
Right. So and this is why I like the triangle setup, by the way. Yeah. Thank you.
No, he trained.
That's what I did. I thought you did it after he asked. No.
Yeah.
Oh, this was all you. All on my own. Wow. So, Tom, the 6 or 7 mattresses that has now been a revised number down to 2, right? Would those mattresses have been charged the full Monty because they weren't able to be recycled?
Currently, I believe so. Now, The rejected price, yes,
Yes,
which, like I asked, what is that?
but with what Selectman Karen is suggesting, those would go right to the refuse bin and they would be gone. And it would just be a pass through, right? Okay.
Well, that's what we did with the first couple of mattresses rejected. We're asking to get $125 per mattress.
Right.
And that's when it was like, we need to do something because New Bedford wasn't happy about getting it.
Yes.
So the objection could be, like I was saying before, it could be a simple thing, they were wet.
Yeah, but that's not our fault.
No, but drying it out avoids them going into Vortis's container.
Well, why did we get into
mattress
management?
Exactly.
Like, you know,
Exactly. Yeah, just talk 125.
I'm gonna get a motion to give an option to the individual, if his mattress is rejected, that he can leave it for $125 or wording thereabouts.
Okay. I just have one question for discussion. You just made a comment, New Bedford wasn't happy about it. So are they okay taking the mattresses or not?
They were not happy that they were in the bulky bin mixed in with everything else.
Well,
They had to separate.
That was my point.
I understand that, but they did it. I think it's a matter of, if we're gonna do it, we need to keep them in one end of the bulky bin or on top or something like that so that they can be moved easily.
It seems to me that's a better issue than creating a whole.
But Peter Board made the only one to make one for a year, which we.
Yeah,
if that.
Right. So Peter Board is the only one that can answer it, and he would be available. We can put him on speakerphone at a meeting or something like that.
So I just have one question, because obviously, like we could be playing with fire here because it could be any day. I mean, so yeah, tomorrow and the next Wednesday and Saturday, we could be hit with this. So in the purpose of time, so if we're obviously an advisory recommending committee. So I'm just wondering, practically speaking, if we get the ball moving now, so like we make a recommendation to the Board of Health. So then as we continue on in this process, we can shore up all these things that we're talking about, but we're getting the recommendation process. So starting now, where if all goes according to plan, we'll be done with by January 25th, rather than waiting another month and then having everything really start in March. But
Yeah, and I think even if the Borges route doesn't pan out, we have Ace Mattress and we know for 125, we should be able to cover the cost and the soft costs.
We only have Ace mattresses for the mattresses that were rejected. Are we still using them for the mattresses?
All mattresses.
All mattresses.
Yes.
So we wouldn't completely be getting.
No.
It's still happening. So they come in and they take apart the ones that have not failed or rejected, and then they take those away. We're just looking for somebody to take away the rejected.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a quick question. When we do a price, are we going to do two different tiers as we did with the crib mattresses and the regular mattress, or are we just keeping it one price?
One price. One price. Mr. Urban has a question. John?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see him. Go ahead.
So just as I sit here thinking about it, is there a possibility that a mattress comes through the gate rejected, but then becomes recyclable? And if so, what happens at that point?
Only if we saw it and we're not.
In terms of like cost, right? So you charge somebody $100 because it's rejected, now it becomes recyclable and it really turns into a $40 mattress. What is there? You guys thought about that yet? Like a process to that.
Not what's on the floor right now. What's on the floor is that they're gonna go in the bulky bin. Just to Borges' satisfaction.
Okay.
So there's gonna be no way that mattress can be.
Okay.
Right.
You want to go the other way around and take it as a perfectly good mattress.
Just not.
A lot of this is dedication of the attendant.
Yes, Jim?
So, and I'm not trying to look for more work, but we have a joint meeting Thursday. The Board of Health agenda is not posted yet. Is there any way just put it on for Thursday so we can get this done?
I like that idea, Jim.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Oh, passion and also always.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, did you make a
So just a
motion?
motion would be to recommend. to
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
Board of Health. A fee of $125 be charged. Is it for rejected or all matches?
Rejected.
Just rejected matches, okay.
I'll second.
Second.
Oh, go ahead. You can have it.
Thank you. Second.
All those,
You need to call a roll.
Jim,
Aye.
Mike,
I'm an aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Nicole. I'm sorry. Okay, Tom,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
the motion passes.
Just for the record on that one, umpires made the motion, Jim Agia seconded.
No
problem.
It was.
All three of us.
Chairman Hull.
Somebody is watching.
Yes.
Do you believe that we don't need to have like a public hearing about this price jump? No.
We've already had a discussion. This is an amendment to.
Okay. Moving on. Review and discuss. Tom, did you have a question?
No, I just, you didn't ask for discussion on the vote. Just a point of order. I know we need to educate the public. This is one of the things we need to educate strongly. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, historically, people claim that can't get their stuff to the transfer station. They ask the highway department once a year to pick up large items. This is one of the items. When they Christmas time and whatnot, they get new mattresses, they just store them outside. So we could have a large amount of rejected mattresses coming, mainly because of weather. So if we educate sooner than later, it would be advantageous for our benefit.
You could sell mattress bags.
It's.
So education should be part of our next agenda.
So I don't want to steal Administrator Mullins' thunder, but I believe he has a release that's going to go out.
It does.
It's
not strong enough.
Trying to say a lot of stuff.
It looks nice. You gotta get stronger, louder. All the avenues that we discussed tonight, a few more. I think we can have something short, some type of slogan or something. Short is better. Yeah.
Well, he's used to be the solution for stormwater pollution.
That was mine.
Nope, I think the camera turned.
Oh, very good.
We could also tell people as an option, they can take it back home, try it out. It's just what they want.
I think if we have so little, we'll be able to manage this fine.
All set?
Can we go backwards to just a moment here?
Yes.
In the handout, the town officials will also make textile and book recycling bins available. Last sentence is a manual transfer station typically is not required to use.
Yes.
Didn't we have a discussion earlier? We said we're going to come through the gate.
We did, except for the textiles and books.
Okay, okay. I just want to clarify my own mind. Okay, thank you.
So the way you read it, is it clear that it's just accept textile books? Do we need to change that?
Manual transfer not required to utilize this service. This service being textile and book falls under that category. It's clear. It is the only reason I asked the question. It's crystal clear, but I wanted to be sure that and part of our earlier discussion said you need to come through the gate. That's all what's written here. It's clear.
The way the chair and I voted, that is accurate. The only way it's going to be altered is if Chairman Hall decides to bring it back up. clarification, I mean, this, you should warn, right, undoing something, right, okay.
So I'm just asking this out loud, like it's not on the agenda, but since we're talking about the mattresses and recycling. And how especially the changes with the mattress recycling program is outlined. Does anyone have any thoughts or issues with how everything is reflected in this announcement?
I think you're gonna have to put a number in.
Yeah, $125.
$40.
Yep.
And will be increased to.
Yeah, that will go right here.
It would be,
Yep.
again, you know, put upon everyone by the state, so
Yeah.
each municipality is the victim.
Yep.
You can come upon the site itself.
That 125 in place of the appropriate fee. And then this would go out at the end of the week.
I like short stuff.
Yeah, but there's so much to get across here.
Yeah, but is there any way we can add a short blurb with that? Please consider returning the mattress to this point of origin when you're buying the mattress.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not the only.
Yeah, that makes sense, huh? I actually like that. I do. I really do. Yeah, what is it? Okay.
I have the mattress usually be disposed of.
Would it be correct to say it's like that no curbside pickup of all mattresses?
That's a good point, because are you saying you pick up mattresses during Buckley item week?
Oh,
so we don't want the highway guys making a determination whether it's accepted or rejected. So that's a great point.
But they don't do that. Once a year you have Buckley, right?
Yeah.
a mattress has been accepted in Bulky Day?
Yes. Yeah, we need to start that.
Yeah. Yes.
Or to Karen's point, you charge Selectman Karen's point. You're gonna goof on my speech? But we have to presume it might be rejected.
So we charge
right
for the sticker,
right?
The bulky pickup, like it's supposed to be rejected.
Right.
And they can decide that's too expensive. I'll transport it myself.
Because we don't want the highway guys to have to make that determination. Right. We have to presume it's.
The point of sale would already identify rejected mattresses. Left the transfer station, so if we could know what address has a rejected mattress.
Right, I know, but you like simple. I like Selectman Karen's idea. If you come in for bulky item week and you want to pick up at your home, this is the price, $125. I mean, what else can I say?
Not everybody has the needs.
Right. Not to mention the fact that if we're talking about how much things cost to get rid of, driving around town in a truck that uses fuel that has two guys on it costs money.
That fee would only apply to mattresses, not to box springs, correct?
Why?
I don't think the box springs take as much of an abuse on being soiled and all the rest of it.
But ACE doesn't have a differentiation between them, do they?
No, they're the same for fees.
Yeah, I would just leave it that the way it is.
I really want people, when they buy a mattress, have them take their own. You shouldn't be dealing with mattresses.
Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil right now, because most people have purchased mattresses and not have them taken away.
The great education, we're not going to be dealing with mattresses.
Right. But right now,
you want me to say no curbside pickup of all mattresses?
No, we're not. No, we're not in a discussion about bulky item pickup. That's true. Even if we're going to do it,
I think.
Imagine we're running.
I think the consensus was if we do it, they're just going to be charged the higher rate.
The highway person is going to collect the money as we.
No, that's done beforehand. No. Just for clarification, stickers are sold at the health department. You need to buy a sticker prior to the pickup of the item.
Time.
All about time management, Tom.
Without being the point, yeah, I think, there's point to charge for the mattress simply because people already purchased mattresses and they've got their old ones somewhere. And maybe one more cycle of bulky week. And then if we have it this year and then next year, there's enough time to say, look, purchase a mattress, new one, have the company take it away or whatever. But I think, you know, mattresses, old mattresses in garages and in backyard, that's what we're seeing, but we need to have transition to your point. I think that's the way to go.
We were talking about the education stuff and your novel that you wrote, which great job. So anything that's going out, it's gonna go through me first, or just you?
I mean, I would like to, I think we agree, we want to have it strategies here.
The background of my question is, you know, the strawberry vine hits over 1,000 homes, residents. Yep. We're in the process of trying to get a lot of this stuff electronic too, to cut down the mailing costs. A lot of people read that. So to throw something in there, obviously this needs to be shorter. Does it need to go through the committee? That's my asking, or just you to make sure we hit the good point.
So I think if the committee is okay, there's a lot here. So like if the committee is okay with the content here, we can try to synthesize it for the strawberry vine.
I don't need to go through the committee.
No, I don't,
because we already approved it. Okay, thank you.
I mean, that's just my thought. I don't wanna.
I don't think anyone here is trying to micromanage, but I think this venue is really fruitful, and we're actually making some progress. So I just think before anything is authored that we haven't seen,
yes,
then it needs to come to this body.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts here.
Right.
I want to make sure we get anything, we communicate out. One of the things as well, I actually so yeah, like in terms of the public education and the communication and this, like I really view this as like the first step. And then so like a few of us over the last few weeks have been talking about a mailer. So that we could actually come up with, and I hope at the next meeting to be able to propose a mailer that we could actually send out as well, that has all these, so that has all these aspects really synthesized into like a mailing and not a full-page press release. And I just actually, Randolph, the town of Randolph recently put one out that is really exactly what we would want to do. So when I know their health agent, I'm just asking if he can like send me the Word version of it, and we can kind of work off that template.
I'm saying, if I may, to our slide here this evening, mail across money. However, I think that so many problems, it's well worth expenditure of sending it out to all of our residents and answering all those questions at one time. John may have to answer. I think kind of, I think we will be well spent. Yes.
And the Board of Health has a pretty good budget for those things. Just kidding. We don't have a budget for those. Like,
you can do one. Yeah.
It's a tough thing.
Are we all set to move on to the next topic?
Solid Waste also has a budget for communications in there too, and we can do that.
I'm sorry?
Should I build that into something?
Yeah, we can move on, John. Sorry, we're digressing.
That's okay. All right. Review, discuss, act, Transfer Station Enterprise Fund. I know this is a little premature, but I figure we can get the ball rolling on this topic.
So, I mean, I think just really to kick it off, I mean, we've been trying to, and I think we're a ways from it yet. Like trying to really, so look at all our revenues and expenses in a way, you know, that maybe, like in many cases, we can structure our expenses and revenues. So like we might have the ability to structure them in an enterprise-like system. But I mean, I think that's just an idea at this point. I think we're gonna want to see some trends in terms of our POS system. We're gonna want to look at the trends that Colonel Perry and Todd really have analyzed and assessed in the last 3 years. So I think we're like a long ways from it, but if we have the ability to, and this idea that it could be worth exploring.
Yes, Tom?
I agree. I believe something like this would need to go through an annual anyways.
Yes.
With no way going to be ready for that for this annual. And so we get this whole year to reconsider it later this year when we have better information, POS up and running, stuff like that. And I believe the work that Mr. Perry did with the POS coming on, those existing data might expedite it, but I don't think we can make this coming annual.
No. And we haven't even talked about solid waste yet, which is a whole other.
That is why we're here.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's getting more rolling.
Yeah.
Chairman's
What-
suggested.
I may have asked this before, my apologies. When is the contract with Borges up?
We're in year one of it, right, 25, same as CMAS.
So we wouldn't be able to do anything with solid waste until 25 anyway. If we were. Because the solid waste discussions are also going to bring up privatization. There's all kinds of stuff that's going to be talked about.
But if you're going to do
Solid
something, a lot of time to put that into place. So you got to talk about it before this comes out.
Right, agreed.
Go ahead, Sean.
Thanks. So it's funny you bring that up because and I would like it, but I won't bore you by imploring you to read my capstone because it is incredibly long and you will find it probably incredibly boring. So one of the suggestions from the research that I did does suggest that privatization at some point is more cost effective. However, given how small the community is, privatization is going to cost people a lot of money. And that is probably where the enterprise system, like the sewer system, it will mimic the privatization to a certain degree that will make it maybe a little bit more manageable for you. But research does suggest that there is a point when your community does get large enough that privatization via solid waste is usually more beneficial. Again, I think that financially probably a long ways away, only because the size of our community is relatively small.
Plus the impact on the savings.
Yeah.
Does this need to be brought for the next meeting, the solid waste in general, or is this just something down the pipeline?
We want to wait until we have better data before we further discuss it, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think if we're able to absorb the data that Colonel Perry and Todd's going to put in spreadsheet form, that would be good. And then we can probably, in discussion, say when we might think a good time to kick off. There's still finance part of it that needs to be vetted, and there's just a lot that we need to put on paper first.
Okay. All set?
Yeah, just one thought, maybe a hybrid in the meantime. So that could be doable, or we could actually create almost like a pilot enterprise fund where we do look at, so like with regards to some aspects of the transfer station, maybe, so like rolling it out in a very almost like a pilot, so like some expenses and revenues, so are there, and it's a way to really, get us and the public more adjusted to that type of system. So maybe So we could look at a very small or micro level, like enterprise system or going into town meeting, just a thought, I mean.
I think it might be one of those things where I agree to a point. I think back to the education piece, you have numbers and you have a proposed structure. I think maybe going to town meeting and as an adjunct, you can say, look, this is what we're thinking about doing. This is how it will work. Again, education, and we want to do it for these reasons because, but base it upon current data that we have and project it forward and start, if it looks viable, start selling the point then. I agree, it's maybe too early to even think about it for the next annual town meeting. Yeah.
Maybe a way to work in a 5-minute brief from the solid waste committee next annual. You know how it asks for a report from like boards and stuff. The cost maybe like
hey guys, what the committee's up to, here's what we're doing. Get somebody to present some information so it gets out, and now you have, it sounds like 2 years until the contract's up and to kind of flesh this out and work it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because on these issues are very much part of our operational plan. No doubt about it. I like that idea. Thank you.
All set?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Next one, schedule next meeting. Do we still want to roll with the last Monday of every month at 4?
Works for me.
First Monday.
So that it would be the 27th of February.
The last one.
You mean no, the first Monday. We did the first Monday, I believe. Yeah.
And what did you just say? 22nd of February?
27th.
Oh, I thought we did the first Monday.
Oh, we're going with the first Monday or the 4th?
Well, this is the first.
This is the first after the holiday. That's why we chose this date.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what works best for everybody? The first Monday of the month or the 4th Monday of the month?
So one of the things, if I could just pipe in, we're kind of, we're jumping out in terms of our budget process in a way where, a lot of these responses, actually the solid waste budget is actually managed by the Board of Health, but I do think, at some point in the near future, early on in the budget process, the solid waste committee, so it could really, so even if the Board of Health represents our solid waste budget, because the Board of Health manages the solid waste budget, but I do think, so having this group really understand the components, what is actually going into that budget early on in the budget process, I do think would be helpful. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm really not sure. If we want, so just as an example, the last Monday of January is actually the 30th. I'm not actually sure. So if looking at something like that, just to have the solid waste committee have a good understanding about what the components are actually driving the budget. With regards to any increases or trends or anything else, I'm just throwing it out there for a thought anyways.
So are you suggesting a joint meeting with the Board of Health? What do you say? You're losing.
So yeah, no, I'm sorry. So the budgets are due to meet the town accountant by the first part of February, but I'm just wondering, so obviously the Board of Health is going to be working to put something together over the next few weeks, but I'm just wondering before something is actually before something is actually submitted, so that the solid waste committee has an idea. It has an understanding of what is actually included and what So like any cost drivers are in that budget, like before that budget. Like essentially kicks off the budget process with regards to. Oh, like what our solid waste needs actually. Does that make sense?
So are you suggesting we go the 30th of January?
Oh, I think the 23rd. What else could have a meeting after?
Okay, or the 23rd of January.
Yes, Jim?
So I think it's a great idea, especially if this body is going to be making decisions or recommendations on whether or not enterprise is in the cards or not. What I do say though, because most people on this at these tables haven't seen the budget before, what you're suggesting. Prior to that meeting, the Board of Health needs to at least designate one member with someone so that they can go over the budget, so that when they come in front of this body, it can be presented in a way where it's understanding and everyone here can absorb what is actually in the budget currently and what we need to do to get through the next fiscal year, and then already plant the seed for what might be down the road when we talk about either enterprising, privatization, or whatever. I think it would put, to Mike's point, it puts into context a lot of what we're talking about when we're talking about what things cost, what are the soft costs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a great idea. I just want you to know that I think there needs to be a meeting before that meeting with at least a couple of people to get this vetted out. Okay.
So like to that point, if we were to hypothetically do something on the 23rd, I think that would force the Board of Health into trying to cram in a lot during the next 2 weeks, honestly.
It's literally, it's like no.
I didn't know, we have no time.
We can't.
And this week's done. We have like meetings up to here.
So that's why I'm thinking, even if even if the Board of Health votes to recommend a budget, like at least so like at least on the 30th, even if the Board of Health already makes a recommendation, we would have, and then so like this group would have an understanding of what actually was included in the budget before like it actually it starts going forward. That's my thought.
So the next meeting is what?
Does January 30th work for everyone?
Yes.
At 4 p.m.
I'm sorry, what was it?
January 30th at 4 p.m.
At 4, okay.
Location to be determined.
Yes.
I think right now this building is open on that day. At that time. Because we're stopping by 6. We're only a few minutes late, so.
Any public input? No? Next, approval of the minutes, October 19th, 2022 and November 28th, 2022.
Yeah, the meeting minutes from October 19th are not ready yet. The minutes of November 28th, they don't actually have a date on them, but they are November 28th. There's actually a few other typos I have actually noticed here this evening in them. And so one of the things, Mr. Pryor's name is spelled wrong in the first, his first second, and then in the second place, a discussion, gate is actually referred to like, I don't know.
The horse one.
Yeah, the horse one, thank you. Not the actual gate. So like I'm happy to go through it again and make the typo corrections, but if there's anything else that the committee sees, open ears.
I think the motions and the votes were to recommend to the Board of Health.
Okay, yep.
And then when the weeds grass brush, it wasn't weed grass brush, it was weeds.
Fine, yep.
And I believe Tom Berry for the boat shipping is taken care of once per week except for large storms, right? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And normally in minutes you have to spell out things like DEP and POS and stuff like that because.
Thank you. Okay.
You need a motion as amended?
Yeah, yes.
Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, that was a motion.
That was the motion in the form of a question.
That was a Tom motion.
Now, do I still have to, all those in favor, Jim?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Nicole? Tom?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now we just need to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Jim?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Okay, this meeting has adjourned.
6:07 p.m.
See ya.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Good night.